The moon hung bright over Millbrook's dense forest. 4 children sat around a small campfire, their faces lit by the orange glow. Sam Foster poked at the fire with a stick, sending sparks flying into the night sky. "Hand me another marshmallow," said 12-year-old Sam to Olivia Martinez, who sat across from him. 14-year-old Olivia passed the bag. "Don't burn this one too." Nearby, 9-year-old twins Ethan and Emma Clark giggled as they tried to build the perfect s'more. "Do you think there are aliens?" Ethan asked suddenly, looking up at the star-filled sky. Emma rolled her eyes. "Not this again." "Scientists say there must be life on other planets," Olivia said. She was the smartest in her class and loved space, but the distances are too great for anyone to visit Earth. Sam nodded. "My dad says the same thing. The closest star would take thousands of years to reach." A twig snapped in the darkness beyond their campsite. The children fell silent. "Probably just a deer," Sam said, but he gripped his stick tighter. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves around them. Then the campfire flickered strangely, as if something was disturbing the air above it. "Look," Emma pointed up. The stars were disappearing, blocked by something massive moving over the clearing. A low hum filled the air, making their teeth vibrate. The campfire bent sideways, as if being pulled upward. "What's happening?" Ethan cried, grabbing his sister's hand. A bright blue light suddenly flooded the clearing, so intense they had to shield their eyes. Sam tried to shout for everyone to run, but his voice wouldn't work. He felt his feet leave the ground, and then everything went black. Sheriff Kate Bauman ducked under the yellow police tape, her boots crunching on fallen leaves. 20 hours had passed since the 4 children had vanished from their campsite. The morning sun filtered through the trees, illuminating the scene. "Found anything new?" she asked Deputy Frank Powell, who was taking pictures of the ground. He shook his head. "Nothing that makes sense, Sheriff." Kate walked to the center of the clearing where the children's tent still stood untouched. Their backpacks remained inside. The campfire was cold now, with half-eaten snacks scattered around it. "No signs of tracks leading away," she said, mostly to herself. "It's like they just disappeared." "You should see this," Frank called from the other side of the clearing. He pointed to a perfect circle of burnt grass about 15 feet wide. "Never seen anything like it." Kate crouched down, running her fingers over the scorched earth. The grass wasn't just burned, it was almost turned to ash, while the surrounding plants were untouched. "And there's these," Frank said, holding up a small evidence bag containing tiny metal fragments that shimmered with an unusual bluish tint. Kate took the bag, examining the fragments. They were like no metal she had ever seen. "Call the state police," she said, "and the FBI. This isn't a normal missing persons case." Far above Earth, the massive ship called Dominion moved away from the planet's orbit. Its dark hull was nearly invisible against the blackness of space, marked only by pulsing blue lights along its sides. In the ship's command center, Commander Voxthar watched the main screen with 4 of his 6 eyes, while his upper limbs tapped at the control panel. His hard exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights, and his antennae twitched with satisfaction. "The extraction was successful," reported Officer Kex, his mandibles clicking as he spoke. 4 juvenile human specimens obtained without detection. Voxthar's mouthparts formed what passed for a smile among the Craxians. "Excellent. Were there any complications?" "None, Commander. The specimens are in stasis and ready for transfer to the research station." "Perfect." Voxthar turned all 6 eyes to the view screen, watching as the blue-green planet grew smaller behind them. "Humans are surprisingly adaptable creatures. Their young should provide valuable research data. The collective will be pleased," Kex said. Voxthar nodded. "Set course for Research Station Omega. It's time to see what makes these humans so special." Little did the Craxian commander know, he had just made the worst mistake of his long life. Zalren walked through the curved hallways of the Dominion with purpose. Unlike the insect-like Krakshans who ran the ship, he stood on two legs. His pale blue skin shimmered under the lights, and his large eyes blinked. Dr. Aaron Mitchell rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the computer screen. For 2 days straight, he had been analyzing the strange data that came from the Deep Space Monitoring Station near Millbrook. The energy readings made no sense. They matched nothing in NASA's database. "You need to see this," said Colonel Lisa Rodriguez as she walked into the small office. Her uniform was crisp despite the late hour. "More readings?" Aaron asked, taking the tablet she offered. "No. News from Millbrook." She played a video of a local news report about 4 missing children. The timestamps match our anomalous readings. Aaron stood up quickly. "You think there's a connection?" The sheriff found strange metal fragments and burn patterns. "Look." She showed him photos that had been sent from the Millbrook Sheriff's Department. Aaron's face went pale. "That's a landing pattern. And these fragments." He enlarged the image. "This isn't Earth metal." Lisa nodded grimly. "They're taking our kids." Aaron grabbed his phone. "We need to call the Space Defense Force. Now." 6 hours later, they stood in a large underground facility beneath the Nevada desert. On a massive screen, satellite images tracked the path of an unknown object moving away from Earth at impossible speeds. General Paul Wright, a tall man with gray hair and a stern face, addressed the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we're about to discuss is classified at the highest level." He nodded to Dr. Mitchell, who stepped forward. "Something took 4 children from Millbrook 3 days ago," Aaron explained. "Based on the energy signatures and trajectory, we believe it was an alien spacecraft. It's heading toward the outer solar system." Murmurs filled the room. "Can we track it?" someone asked. "Yes," Aaron said. "But following it is another matter." General Wright spoke again. "That's why we're activating Project Artemis." The screen changed to show a sleek spacecraft unlike anything publicly known to exist. "The Artemis is our first true interstellar ship," Wright explained. "It's not officially ready, but it's our only hope of catching whatever took those children." Colonel Rodriguez stepped forward. "We need a crew. Volunteers only. This mission is extremely dangerous, with unknown risks." A man with dark hair and determined eyes stood up. "I'll command it." "Captain Daniel Hayes," Lisa acknowledged. "Thank you." A young woman with short blonde hair stood next. "Communications Specialist Grace Turner." "I'm in." One by one, others volunteered. Engineer Ryan Ortiz, Medical Officer Sophia Lee, and a Marine Corps Special Operations team led by Major Alicia Newman. "The Artemis can be ready in 12 hours, General Wright said. "Your mission is simple: find and recover our children, at all costs." In the specimen bay of the Dominion Sam Foster watched as Olivia tried to understand the strange panel near their cell door. "See anything useful?" he whispered. Olivia shook her head. "I can't read any of it, but I think this part controls the door." Across the room, Emma and Ethan sat huddled together. "I want to go home," Emma said quietly. "We will," Sam promised. "We just need to be smart and wait for a chance." The door to the specimen bay opened, and Zalren entered. He looked around carefully before approaching their cell. "I don't have much time," he said, lowering the sound barrier. "Listen carefully. In 2 days, we reach the research station. Once there, they will separate you for tests." Sam stepped forward. "What kind of tests?" Zalren hesitated. "Painful ones. I cannot stop them directly, but I might be able to help you escape." Olivia pointed to the panel. "Can you teach me how this works?" Zalren seemed surprised but nodded. "You are clever. Yes, this controls the door. But any escape attempt would trigger alarms." "Are others coming for us?" Ethan asked. "From Earth?" "I do not know," Zalren admitted. "Humans do not have ships that can travel this far." Sam met the alien's eyes. "You don't know humans very well then. If there's any way to find us, They will. Zalren started to respond when the ship suddenly shuddered. An alarm blared throughout the vessel. What's happening? Sam asked. Zalren rushed to a nearby console, his fingers moving quickly over the controls. His eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible, he whispered. There's a ship following us. A human ship. The Artemis pushed through space at speeds that made Captain Daniel Hayes' stomach tight with worry. The ship wasn't ready for this kind of mission, but they had no choice. 4 children were out there. In the engine room, Engineer Ryan Ortiz worked with sweat dripping down his face. Red warning lights flashed around him. Engines at 115%, he reported over the comm. Any faster and we risk a complete shutdown. Keep it steady, Captain Hayes ordered from the bridge. We're closing the gap. Communications Specialist Grace Turner looked up from her station. Captain, the alien ship has changed course. They know we're following them. Can you hail them? Hayes asked. Grace shook her head. I've tried every frequency. They're not responding. Major Alicia Newman stood at the weapons console. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were hard. Permission to ready weapons, sir. Denied, Hayes said firmly. We don't fire until we know the children are safe. 10 hours until we're in range, Grace reported. But their ship is faster than ours. We might not catch them before they reach their destination. Hayes stared at the view screen where a tiny dot represented the alien vessel. We'll catch them, he said. We have to. On the Dominion Commander Voxthar clicked his mandibles angrily as he stared at the screen showing the pursuing human ship. Impossible, he hissed. Humans do not have this technology. The evidence suggests otherwise, Zalren said calmly, though his heart beat quickly in his chest. The vessel is small but moving at incredible speed. How did they track us? Voxthar demanded. Zalren's mind raced for an answer that wouldn't reveal his sympathy for the humans. Perhaps they placed tracking devices on their young. Voxthar turned his compound eyes to Officer Kex, where the specimens scanned for technology. Yes, Commander, Kex replied. We found no devices. Then how? Voxthar began, but was interrupted by a new alarm. Engine stress detected, a Craxian technician reported. The increased speed is causing damage. Voxthar's antennae twitched in frustration. Maintain course and speed. We must reach Research Station Omega before the humans get within weapons range. He turned to Zalren. You claim to know about humans. How are they following us? I warned you, Zalren said. Their drive to protect their young is unlike anything you've seen. They've clearly been developing technology in secret. Inform the research station to prepare for our arrival, Voxthar ordered, and for possible conflict. In the specimen bay, the 4 children felt the ship shudder again. Something's happening, Olivia said, pressing her ear against the wall of their cell. Sam had been watching the guards. Their movements were faster, more agitated. I think they're scared. Emma looked up hopefully. Maybe someone's coming for us. Zalren said a human ship was following. Ethan reminded them. But how? Dad says we don't have spaceships that can go past the moon. Sam smiled for the first time since their capture. Looks like Dad was wrong. The door to the specimen bay opened, and 2 Craxian guards entered. They approached the cell, their insect-like eyes staring at the children. They will be moved to separate holding cells, one guard said to the other. Commander's orders. No, Sam stepped in front of the others. We stay together. The guards ignored him and began entering codes into the control panel. Now, Olivia whispered. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal object she had taken from their food tray. When the cell door opened, she threw it at the control panel. Sparks flew as the metal piece jammed between the buttons. The alarm system went haywire, and all the doors in the specimen bay began opening and closing randomly. Run, Sam shouted as their cell door stuck halfway open. The children squeezed through the gap and dashed past the confused guards. Which way? Emma cried as they reached the corridor. Sam pointed left. This way. Zal-Ren showed me a map. There's a hiding place in the maintenance section. As they ran through the alien ship, other alarms began to sound. Alert! Human specimens escaping. All security to Deck 5. A voice announced throughout the ship. Olivia grinned at Sam as they rounded a corner. Human specimens, huh? I think they're about to learn that human kids are a lot more trouble than they expected. Zal-Ren hurried through the ship's corridors, his heart racing. The alarms blaring throughout the Dominion told him the children had escaped. This wasn't part of his plan, but he admired their courage. He reached a communication terminal and checked that no one was watching. His long fingers moved quickly over the controls as he entered a special code. The screen flickered, then showed the vastness of space, with a small dot representing the human ship. This is madness, he whispered to himself, but he had made his decision. Zal-Ren began typing a message. He included the Dominion's defense systems, the layout of the ship, and most importantly, confirmation that all 4 children were alive. He hesitated before sending it, knowing this act would end his career and possibly his life. Then he pressed the button. The message shot through space toward the human vessel. On the bridge of the Artemis Grace Turner jumped in her seat. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien ship. Captain Hayes rushed to her station. Put it through. It's text only, Grace said, looking confused. And it's in English. The message appeared on her screen, and everyone on the bridge stared in shock. Human ship, I am Zal-Ren of the Phyrexian Commonwealth. I am aboard the vessel holding your offspring. I wish to help. It could be a trap, Major Newman warned, her hand moving to her weapon. Grace studied the message. The data looks genuine. It includes detailed schematics of their ship, and her voice caught. Confirmation that all 4 children are alive. Why would an alien help us? Hayes wondered. He says the Craxians plan to begin experiments as soon as they dock at their station. Grace continued reading. We have less than 8 hours. Hayes made his decision. Send a reply. Ask why he's helping us. A minute later, Zal-Ren's response came through. Because what they've done violates every ethical principle my people hold dear. And because I have studied your species enough to know what comes next if I don't. Sam led the other children through narrow maintenance tunnels. They crawled on their hands and knees, trying to move as quietly as possible. Are you sure this is the right way? Olivia whispered. Sam nodded. Zal-Ren's map showed these tunnels connect to the shuttle bay. If we can hide in one of the smaller ships, we might be able to escape when they dock at the station. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of Craxian search parties. The insect-like clicking of their many legs echoed through the metal corridors. I'm scared, Emma whispered, her face pale in the dim light. Ethan took his twin sister's hand. Me too, but we're together. They reached a junction where the tunnel split in 3 directions. Which way now? Olivia asked. Sam frowned. He couldn't remember this part of the map. I think. Left? No, right, said a familiar voice. The children froze as a panel in the ceiling slid open. Zal-Ren's face appeared in the opening. Quickly, he said. The Craxians cannot fit in these small tunnels, but they will send maintenance drones soon. Sam helped push the younger children up through the opening. Then Olivia, before Zal-Ren pulled him up last. They found themselves in a small room filled with blinking equipment. What is this place? Sam asked. Communication relay, Zal-Ren explained. No one comes here unless systems fail. He looked at each child. Are you injured? They shook their heads. Good. I have contacted the human ship following us. The children's eyes widened. A ship from Earth is really coming? Olivia asked. Zal-Ren nodded. Yes, they are attempting to rescue you, but the Dominion will reach Research Station Omega before your ship can intercept us. So we're still in trouble, Sam said. Yes, but now we have allies. Zalren moved to a computer terminal. I am downloading the station layout to this device. He held up a small tablet-like object. When we dock, security will be focused on your ship's approach. That will be our chance to move you to a safe location until your people can board. Won't you get in trouble for helping us? Emma asked softly. Zalren's large eyes blinked slowly. Yes, but sometimes one must choose between what is safe and what is right. Research Station Omega appeared on the main screen of the Dominion as a massive metal structure floating against the blackness of space. It looked like a giant wheel with spokes connecting to a central hub. Blue lights pulsed along its outer ring. Commander Voxthar stood before the view screen, his antennae twitching nervously. Status of the human vessel, he demanded. Officer Kex checked his instruments. Still following, Commander. They will reach the station 2 hours after we dock. And the escaped specimens? Still not found, Kex admitted. Security teams are searching all decks. Voxthar slammed 2 of his upper limbs against the control panel. How can 4 small humans hide from our entire security force? Commander, another officer called out. Research Station Omega is hailing us. The screen changed to show the face of another Craxian. This one was older, with gray patches on his exoskeleton. Commander Voxthar, the older Craxian said, we received your warning about the human vessel. This is most concerning. Director Zex-4, Voxthar greeted. We believe the humans are attempting to recover their young. We will dock in 20 minutes. Have your security forces ready. Very well. But the High Council is disturbed by these developments. Humans were not thought to possess this level of technology. The specimens will provide answers, Voxthar assured him, once we recapture them. The transmission ended, and Voxthar turned to his officers. Where is Scientist Zalren? He claims to be an expert on humans. Perhaps he can help locate the specimens. He was last seen in the communications section, an officer reported, but he is not responding to calls. Voxthar's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Find him. Now. In the cramped communication relay room, Zalren and the children huddled around a small screen showing the approaching research station. Once we dock, Zalren explained, there will be a brief power reduction as systems transfer from ship to station. That's when we move. Where will we go? Sam asked. The science section, Zalren said, pointing to a map on his tablet. It has environmental chambers designed for different life forms. I can seal you inside one set for Earth conditions. The Craxians will need special equipment to enter, which will give us time. How long until our people arrive? Olivia asked. 2 hours after we dock. Zalren looked at each child. You must be brave a little longer. Suddenly, a red light began flashing on the control panel. They're scanning this section, Zalren said urgently. We must leave now. He led them through a small door at the back of the room, which opened into another maintenance tunnel. They crawled quickly, the sounds of the ship preparing to dock rumbling around them. Almost there, Zalren whispered. The access point to the main corridor is just ahead. On the Artemis Major Alicia Newman briefed her team. 6 Marines in combat gear checked their weapons and equipment. Our mission is clear, she told them. Find and extract the 4 children. Captain Hayes will dock at the station's emergency airlock, shown here. She pointed to a spot on the holographic map floating above the table. Based on the information from our alien contact, the children will be in the science section. We move fast, stay together, and get to them before they can be moved. What about resistance? A young Marine asked. Non-lethal force where possible, Newman said firmly. But the children are the priority. If anyone tries to stop us from reaching them. She left the sentence unfinished, but her meaning was clear. Captain Hayes entered the briefing room. We're pushing the engines beyond safety limits. Engineer Ortiz says we might arrive 30 minutes earlier than expected. That could make all the difference, Newman nodded. There's something else you should know, Hayes said. his expression grim. "We've been monitoring communications. It seems these Craxians have called for reinforcements. We may have more company soon." Newman turned to her team. "Then we get in, get the kids, and get out. Fast." The Dominion shuddered as it connected to Research Station Omega's docking clamps. Throughout the ship, lights dimmed briefly as power systems aligned. In that moment of semi-darkness, a maintenance hatch opened in a quiet corridor, and 5 figures slipped out. 4 small humans and 1 blue-skinned alien, moving silently toward the station access doors. Research Station Omega bustled with activity as news of the approaching human ship spread. Craxian scientists hurried to secure their experiments while security forces moved into position at every docking port and airlock. Zalren led the children through service corridors, using his access card to open doors that would otherwise remain locked. They moved quietly, freezing whenever they heard the clicking sounds of Craxian legs on metal floors. "The science section is through that door," Zalren whispered, pointing ahead. "But there are guards." Sam peeked around the corner. 2 Craxian guards stood at the entrance, their insect-like bodies covered with light armor and their upper limbs holding weapons. "How do we get past them?" Olivia asked. Zalren thought for a moment. "I can distract them. When they move away, run through the door and take the first left. The environmental chambers are at the end of that hall." "What about you?" Emma asked, her small hand touching Zalren's arm. "I will join you if I can." He handed Sam the tablet with the station map. "If I don't return, this will guide you. Your people know where to find you." Zalren stepped out into the main corridor, walking confidently toward the guards. "Emergency in Docking Bay 3, he shouted. The human specimens were spotted there. All security personnel are ordered to respond. The guards hesitated, clicking their mandibles in confusion. "Director Zexvor's orders," Zalren added sharply. "Go." The guards finally moved, scurrying down the corridor toward the docking bays. As soon as they disappeared around a corner, Zalren waved to the children. "Now, quickly." The 4 children ran to the door and through it, with Zalren following close behind. They took the first left as instructed and continued down the hall toward the environmental chambers. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. "Warning. Human vessel approaching. All security to battle stations. This is not a drill." "They're early," Zalren said, surprised. "Your people must have pushed their engines beyond safe limits." "That sounds like something humans would do," Sam said with a small smile. They reached the environmental chambers, a series of large, clear rooms designed to recreate different planetary conditions. Zalren quickly typed a code into the control panel of one marked Earth Standard. The door slid open, revealing a room with normal gravity, temperature, and air similar to Earth's. Plants from their home planet grew in containers along the walls. "Inside, all of you," Zalren urged. The children entered the chamber, and Zalren was about to join them when a voice called out behind him. "Scientist Zalren, step away from the Earth specimens." Commander Voxthar stood in the corridor, flanked by 4 armed guards. His compound eyes reflected the red warning lights flashing throughout the station. "So it was you who helped them escape," Voxthar said, his voice cold, "and contacted the human ship." Zalren moved to block the entrance to the chamber. "This ends now, Commander. Taking children violates every law of the Galactic Concord. The Concord has no authority over the Craxian Collective," Voxthar snapped. "Stand aside or be removed." Inside the chamber, Sam pushed the younger children behind him. Olivia grabbed a metal rod from one of the plant containers, holding it like a weapon. Zalren did not move from the doorway. "I cannot let you take them." Voxthar raised one of his upper limbs, signaling the guards to advance. Suddenly, a new alarm sounded, different from the others. "Alert! Security breach at Emergency Airlock 6. Unknown intruders aboard. Heavy weapons detected." Voxthar's antennae twitched in agitation. "Impossible. The human ship cannot have docked already." You still don't understand, Zalren said quietly. When it comes to protecting their young, humans are capable of the impossible. Gunfire echoed in the distance, growing closer with each passing second. Secure the specimens, Voxfar ordered his guards. We need them as bargaining chips. As the guards advanced toward Zalren and the chamber, the lights in the corridor suddenly went out, plunging everything into darkness. When emergency lighting flickered on seconds later, 6 figures in combat gear stood at the far end of the hall, weapons raised. United States Marines, a woman's voice called out firmly. Step away from the children. Now, Major Alicia Newman kept her weapon trained on the insect-like aliens as her team spread out behind her. The corridor was tense with silence, broken only by the continuing alarms. I won't ask again, she said firmly. Step away from the children. Commander Voxthar stood his ground, his 4 guards pointing their weapons at the Marines. You are trespassing on a Craxian research facility, he said. Leave immediately. Sam's face lit up when he saw the human soldiers. We're in here, he called from inside the chamber. Newman noticed the blue-skinned alien standing protectively at the chamber entrance. Are you Zalren? She asked. Zalren nodded. Yes. The children are unharmed. Lower your weapons, Newman ordered the Craxians again. We're taking the children home. This is a diplomatic incident, Voxfar clicked angrily. You have no right. Kidnapping our children gave us every right. Newman cut him off. She nodded to 2 of her Marines, who began moving forward. Voxfar raised his weapon. Stop, or we will fire. Don't do this, Zalren warned. You cannot win. In that moment, Director Zexvor hurried into the corridor with more guards. He assessed the situation quickly, his old eyes moving from the armed humans to the children in the chamber. Commander Voxthar, he said sharply, what have you done? Director, these humans have invaded our station, Voxthar began. After you took their young, Zexvor interrupted. He turned to Major Newman. I am Director Zexvor. There has been a terrible mistake. No mistake, Newman said coldly. Those children were taken from Earth. We want them back. Zexvor's antennae drooped. Of course. Commander Voxthar acted without the approval of the High Council. The Craxian Collective does not condone the taking of offspring from any species. Voxthar clicked in outrage. Director, the research is not worth war with humans, Zexvor finished. He gestured to his guards, who stepped forward and took the weapons from Voxthar and his team. Lower all weapons. The humans will take their young and leave in peace. Newman kept her weapon ready but nodded to her team to advance. 2 Marines moved to the environmental chamber, where Zalren stepped aside to let them reach the children. Sam led the other 3 out, keeping them close. When Emma saw Major Newman, she broke free and ran to her, wrapping her arms around the surprised soldier's legs. Thank you for finding us, the little girl said, tears in her eyes. Newman's face softened as she placed a gentle hand on Emma's head. We never stopped looking. Captain Hayes's voice came through Newman's radio. Major, what's your status? Craxian reinforcements will arrive in 20 minutes. We have the children, sir, Newman replied. All 4, safe and sound. Preparing to withdraw. As the Marines formed a protective circle around the children, Sam turned to Zalren. Come with us, he said, reaching for the alien's hand. You'll be in trouble if you stay. Zalren looked surprised, then touched. Thank you, Sam Foster, but I must face the consequences of my actions, and perhaps I can help prevent such mistakes in the future. Director Zexvor stepped forward. Scientist Zalren will not be punished. His actions, while against our orders, were ethically correct. The Craxian Collective has much to learn about humans. Starting with never taking their children, Zalren added firmly. The human group began moving toward the exit, but Olivia stopped and turned back. Will we see you again? She asked Zalren. The alien scientist bowed slightly. I hope so. Perhaps next time under better circumstances. As the humans left with the children, Director Zexvor turned to Commander Voxthar. "You will face the High Council for this," he said, "and I will recommend that all Craxian ships avoid human space from now on. They are just primitives," Voxthar protested weakly. Zaloran shook his head. "No, Commander. They crossed impossible distances, infiltrated our most secure facility, and were ready to fight our entire collective for 4 small humans. Remember this lesson. To humans, nothing is more important than their children. Threaten them, and you threaten all of humanity." From the station's observation deck, they watched as the Artemis detached and moved away, carrying the children safely back to Earth.